In April of 2008, I experienced a dream that I didn't completely understand as I do today. As you recall, I was involved in a moment of mentoring with John Kilpatrick. We were walking, and I could tell that he was mentoring me and investing in me. And suddenly he stopped in the dream and he turned to me and he said the words, Olmostad. Immediately I woke up from the dream and I spoke out, Olmostad, not knowing what those words meant. And I went to the computer and I began to Google and began to search those words out and discovered that they're Scandinavian. My family is Felshaw, which is German. We were Danish. My family came from the northern part of Germany, right outside of Copenhagen, Denmark. Scandinavian. He spoke the language of my family. The word Olmostad means a commanding voice in a city. Oma, commanding voice, the leader of a family. Stad, meaning city or metropolitan area. A commanding voice in a city. Little did I know in 2008 I'd be standing here this morning with years of experience behind me with not in my city, with now sitting on city council here in Beaumont. We see how God has brought us so far as a church, and yet we know we have so far to go. But now that dream today means more to me than ever before. Olmostad, a commanding voice in a city. This morning I want to talk to you about a dream and about dreams. I want you to understand when I speak of dreams, I'm not only speaking of you dreaming, but I'm speaking of a dream. The first thing I want you to know this morning is that God moves and He speaks in dreams. We know this because more than once in the Bible we read, and God came to him in a dream. Or God spoke to him in a dream. God moves in that dreamland. The second point that I want you to capture today is that God has a dream. He has a dream. Jeremiah 29 said, for I know the thoughts that I think towards you. Say towards you. Thoughts that I think towards you. Did you know that God is thinking of you? Now, that's hard for some people in this room or on the web to completely comprehend or accept that God has thoughts that are towards you, thoughts that are about you and your future. For He says they're thoughts of peace that will give you a future and give you a hope. The third point that I want to make today is Elohim, which is Creator God. In the beginning, God created Elohim. Elohim included a dream in your genetic code. In your genetic code, in your DNA, there is a dream that is locked up. We understand that instinctively we should be creative because Elohim said, let us make man in our image. So Elohim, Creator God, His DNA is in my genetic encoding. It's a part of me. It's a part of my fiber. Like father, like son. Inside of your DNA makeup is that creativity that God is wanting you to release. Rather you do it through the arts, rather you do it in the marketplace, rather you do it with music, public speaking, writing poetry, building homes, strategizing as an entrepreneur. God wants you and I to be creative people. Instinctively, we should be creative. The best ideas should come out of the womb of the church. The Wright brothers, who brought flight to us, were the sons of a Methodist preacher. Think of that. Out of the church should come the best ideas because we're created in the image of Elohim. And that's why we all in this room here today, we have a tendency to dream of our future, to dream of the future of our children, our grandchildren. We do that because we're created in His image. And so you dream because He dreamed first. You dream because He dreamed first. He stood one day and He had a dream. He said, let us make man. A dream. And so if there is a dream that's locked up in your DNA, perhaps it's time to awaken His dream into your reality. Let's call this today the Dream Maker. Father, we thank You for the privilege of coming together as the ecclesia, the church. We're here today for kingdom business. We're here today, Father, in the house of possibilities. You said all things were possible to them that believe. And Your house is a house of prayer. So that makes this a house of possibilities, a place where dreams come true. So Holy Spirit, speak to us and awaken the dream that's locked up inside of all of us. And may we follow in the steps of the first and the original dream maker. We prayed in Christ's name, and everybody that has a dream said amen. Amen. First point, God moves and speaks in dreams. God moves and speaks in dreams. Now, I just want to remind you of the story found in Genesis chapter 37 through 45. I won't take time to read it, but you remember the story of Jacob, Joseph, 12 sons, and Joseph, a young man that had a dream. So the first point that I want to make here is dreams reveal God's creative person in you or God's creative purpose for your life. Dreams reveal God's creative purpose for your life. It reveals it. Genesis 37:3. Now I want you to notice that word Israel before we go any further into this. Up to this point, it talked about Jacob, but suddenly it shifted and used the word Israel. Now, Israel, speaking of Jacob, loved Joseph more than all his children, all the other boys, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic, a cloak of many colors. I was thinking yesterday, what is so significant about this coat of many colors and the future of this family? You have to understand that Joseph was down the line. You've got all these boys, and then you have Joseph, and then Benjamin comes last. But you've got Joseph, and Joseph is one of the younger sons, one of the younger boys that was born to Jacob in his old age. And so Jacob, Israel loved him because he saw in this young man the future of the family, the future of the nation. So you have to understand that this coat of many colors represented that he would be a ruler of his brothers. And remember later in Egypt, they bow before him, that he would be a ruler of his brothers and he would be responsible for the future of the family. He would draw them into Goshen. He would draw them into Egypt and bring them in during a great drought and a great famine. So Joseph was the key to the survival of this family. And this coat represented that. And so when Jacob put this coat of many colors on him, he was making a statement. Joseph was stepping into his identity. Joseph was stepping into who he was and who God made him to be. It represented his future. And so everyone in this room and on the web, you have to find the coat that fits you. And when you do, it will unlock your dream. You've got to step into who you are. You've got to step into your calling, not your mother's calling, not your father's calling, not your friend's calling, not even your calling, but God's calling. You got to step into what fits you. You got to step in. Listen, if you live out your life according to the opinions of others, you will remain a prisoner to their imagination. Whatever they imagine for you, you'll be a prisoner to it. You got to step into God's imagination. You got to step into God's dream for your life. You got to step into God's calling for your life. You got to put on that coat and walk around and say, you know, this fits me. This fits me. It's like a custom-made suit. You put that on. You can go to the store and buy a suit off the rack. You can alter it a little bit, but it's never going to fit like a custom-made suit. But when you step into that custom-made suit, it fits you like a glove. And Joseph put that tunic on. He put it on, and suddenly, the Bible says he began to dream. Suddenly, he began to dream dreams. He said, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. He went before the family and said, hey, did y'all know one day you're all going to bow before me? You see, when you find what fits you, it will unlock your dreams. You got to know that you've got to decide who you are and what God has called you to do. Because know this, living outside of God's dream is a life of deception. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. When you step into an arena that you don't belong in, that's deception. When you wear clothes that don't fit you, that's deception. When you try to follow something that's not God's dream for your life, that's deception. You're not being true to who you are and to what God has called you to be. You got to decide, this is who I am. And Joseph did that. He pulled on that coat and he says, wow, this fits me. And suddenly he began to dream dreams. You see, natural creativity is a genetic marker pointing to your person or your purpose in life. Natural creativity is a genetic marker. If you can't sing, you're probably not called to lead worship. You see, that skill set, that ability is a genetic marker. Natural creativity. Natural. Your calling in life should come to you naturally. You shouldn't have to force it. You should feel comfortable in your own skin. When you stand up to do something, when you stand up to express yourself, to express your gifting, it should come to you naturally. This is who I am. There are some men and women who can't help but make money. They can't help it. They're entrepreneurs and they have the gifting as described, and is it Romans that talks about that people that have the gift to give, they have the gift to make money, to generate income. They have that ability and it just fits them. No matter what they touch, it turns to gold. You've got to figure out what God's dream is for your life, step into your coat and say, this fits me. And when you do that, your natural creativity will begin to express itself. It is a genetic marker. It marks you. This is who I am. This is who I am. This is what God's called me to be, called me to do. It's a genetic marker. And so it reveals who you are and what God has called you to do. Natural creativity. What are you good at? What comes natural to you? What is it? Gifting, talent, ability, skill set. What is it that you do? Are you living the best dream? Dreams. Dreams reveal who you are. Number 2, dreams align us with the right people. Genesis 37. Then they said to one another, the boys, talking about their brother Joseph, look, this dreamer's coming. He's wearing that coat. He's wearing that coat. He's dreaming. He's dreaming. He's dreaming. He can't help himself. He has stepped into his coat. He has stepped into his future, his identity. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. So he's a dreamer. They say, here he comes. Therefore, let us kill him and cast him into a pit, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. You have to understand that they're not really trying to kill the dreamer. They're trying to kill the dream. They're trying to kill the dream. You have to know that. These guys aren't really trying to kill Joseph. They're trying to kill the dreams that he's carrying inside of him. And then you drop down to Genesis 41 and 15, and the story changes. And it says, and Pharaoh said to Joseph, now, many years later, pit, Potiphar's house, prison, and now he's standing before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there's no one who can interpret it, but I have heard it said of you that you can understand. You can understand a dream to interpret it. So Pharaoh brings Joseph before him and he says, look, I've had a dream and I understand that you're a dreamer and you will understand me. I get it. You see, guys, you've got to know that, first of all, according to Genesis 37, the brothers throw Joseph in the pit. Okay, let's get rid of this guy. Your dream will separate you from the wrong people. Brothers are dream killers. If you begin to dream, you need to know that there are always going to be people in your world that are dream killers. And your dream either will force you to separate yourself from them or they'll kill the dream inside of you. You need to recognize the fact that not everybody is good for you. There are dream killers that you need to separate yourself from. You need to be around people that are going to encourage you. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I know you understand. So the second point is that your dream will align you with the right people, with Pharaoh or with dreamers. You need to hang out with dreamers. You need to hang out with people that will encourage your dream, people that will tell you you can. And parents, listen to me. This is most important for parents and grandparents. Make sure that you're not a dream killer when it comes to your children or your children's children. Make sure that you're like Pharaoh and you say, I know you'll understand. Listen, I see the dream within you. You want to awaken things in people. You don't want to kill it. You want to awaken it. Make sure that you feed the dream inside of people. We do that here in this church. Jesus said, my house will be called a house of prayer. And then he said, all things are possible to them that believe. So if that's true, then the house of God should be a house of possibilities. It should be a place where dreams come true. Young people should come into our church and leave here thinking, I can do anything. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. There is nothing I can't do. That's why I get so excited about young couples like David and Jacqueline that are setting out to the Dominican Republic to follow a dream, because this church was a part of awakening something inside of them, and they say yes to the call of God. They step into their jacket and they go, this fits right. This is who I am. Here I go. And suddenly you begin to dream dreams, and we can do this and we can do that, and we're going to accomplish this, and we're going to see this victory and that victory. That's what happens in a church that encourages dreamers. So your dream will align you with the right people. It's going to separate you from your brothers, the dream killers. You see, they were trying to kill the dream, not the dreamer. And when they threw him in the pit, Joseph thought that this was some type of a prison, but actually God was delivering him from the dream killers. See, what you think is a pathway of sorrow is a pathway of deliverance. Listen, what you think is the door closed on this opportunity so that the door could open for the right opportunity. Like I've said before, you need to write a letter to that old boyfriend, that old girlfriend, and say, thank you for breaking up with me. Well, now we don't do letters. Email. You need to send an email and say, thank you for breaking up with me. One door closed so that I could find a new door. So you have to see that dreams will align you with the right people. Did you know as water will never rise above its source, so you will never rise higher than your associates? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's why Joseph had to go to the pit, because Joseph has to be separated from the dream killers. God knew that as long as Joseph stayed there, his dreams would never come true. They'd kill it. They'd kill the dreams. You can't. Who do you think you are? What makes you so special? And remember what they did. They took his cloak of many colors, and what did the Bible say they did? They ripped it apart. They were trying to kill his dreams. They were envious and jealous of him, and they were trying to kill the dream, and they ripped it apart. And they went back to Jacob and said, look what happened. So much for his dreams. So you got to know that God is trying to separate you from people that will pull you down. As water will never rise above its source, so you will never rise higher than those that you associate with. You need to associate with people that are here, people that will pull you up, people that will inspire you, people that will cause you to dream bigger dreams. You need people that, like Pharaoh, will say to Joseph, I know you understand. You need to do that. You got to go to dreamers and say, I know you understand. They will encourage you in your pursuit. Third point here. Dreams will attract you to the place of your problem solving. Dreams will attract you to the place of your problem solving. Genesis 45, and God sent me, Joseph said to his brothers, before you to preserve a remnant for you in the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Dreams create passion for problem solving and reveal the place where you can make a difference. Reveal the place where you can make a difference. Years ago, I told you before that I was returning to the church, I think from lunch, and I was on the feeder road, came around the curve here, coming down the feeder road, and God spoke to me in my car and he said, if you want to make a difference, you'll need to go where a difference is needed. If you want to make a difference, you got to find a problem. And you have to be a part of the solution. And a dream does that. The dream that Joseph had carried him to Egypt to be a part of the solution of saving the nation of Israel. Think of that. What a dream. What an opportunity. It will place you where you need to be when you need to be there. You can make a difference. You have to know that God and his dream is pulling you. He's pulling you. There's a dream locked up in your DNA, genetic marker. This genetic marker is stamped on your DNA and it says, this is who you are. This is what you're called to do. And when that thing begins to awaken in you, suddenly this dream begins to pull you into situations that need a solution. Suddenly you have an answer. You're part of the answer. You're a part of what God's trying to do. If you want to make a difference, you got to go where a difference is needed. You got to see life differently than other people. In this world, people are always avoiding problems. But in the kingdom, we, as sons of God, are looking to be a solution for every problem. We've got the answer. That's what God's called us to do. Dreams will attract you to the place of your problem solving, where he wants you to solve a problem. There is something locked up in me. People have asked me, why do you want to pastor and also be involved in the political arena? Because there's something that's been locked up in my DNA. All my life, I could sense it. All my life, I've been suspicious. All my life, I thought the day would come when a door would present itself to me. All my ministry locked up inside. A stamp, a genetic marker. This is who you are. That's why I look back over my messages over the years and I look at them and I see, and I can see the fingerprints of this calling all over it. And then we started with Not in My City and all that we're doing here in Beaumont. And then City Council, I see that. Something locked up inside of me. And my dream pulls me to the place he wants me to be to solve problems. But you got to make sure it's the right dream. You see, there's a soul dream. A soul dream is an attempt to avoid despair by filling the void in your heart with something. A soul dream is an attempt to avoid despair by filling the void in your heart with things, people, pleasure, places. We fill the void. That's what we do. People have a void in their life. And people trying to avoid despair and be happy, they start filling that void with things. You have to make sure that you're not just pursuing the American dream. There's nothing wrong with the American dream. Okay, don't email me. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to make sure that you're not pursuing a soul dream. I just want to make money. I just want to be famous. I just want this. I want that. I want to do this. That's a soul dream. You got to make sure that you're pursuing a God dream, which is an attempt to defeat despair by filling the void in the heart of another. Yeah, that's a real God dream. Joseph had a dream that was going to save his family and save a nation. His dream wasn't for self-indulgence. His dream was to help others. So you have to ask the question, is this a soul dream or a God dream? Is this just trying to fill the void in my life, or am I trying to fill the void in others? Am I trying to take people to Christ and to God's calling on their life and to the mission, the life mission that God's given them? A God dream. So I want to ask you this morning, what dream are you chasing? Is it a soul dream or a God dream? There are people in this room and watching on the web that you're spending your life wearing the wrong coat. And you need to get into the right coat. You need to step into the right pair of shoes. You need to begin to follow God's dream and let go of your dream. We said at the beginning that God moves and speaks in dreams. The Bible said, and God came to him in a dream. God spoke to him in a dream. God moves in dreams. So you have to discover Elohim's dream for your life, and there you will find God moving and speaking. People say, Pastor, how can I hear the voice of God? How can I see the hand of God moving in my life? Find your dream. Because God moves in dreams. Not just the act of dreaming, but the dream for your life. You see, if you'll put on the right coat like Joseph did, you'll start dreaming. You'll start hearing God's voice. You'll start seeing God's hand. You'll start seeing God move, because God moves in dreams. God speaks in dreams. As you step into your dream, suddenly you start hearing the voice of God. Suddenly you start seeing the hand of God, because God speaks and moves in dreams. We dream because he first dreamed. He's a dreamer. He's a dreamer. And he wants to awaken the dream within you. He wants you and I to step into the right coat, to step into our calling, to step into who we are, to step into our life purpose. He doesn't want you and I to be prisoners to the imagination of other people. Well, I think you should do this. Well, I think you should do that. Listen, I respect your opinion, but I value mine more. And that's why I do what I do. If you're looking to please people, you're never going to be a world changer. You've got to make up your mind. Your opinion is great, but mine's better. And I'm going to move in my opinion because it's God's call on my life that I have to answer. You got to do it. It's time to start living the right dream. Not a soul dream, but a God dream. Oh, Jesus. We're going to pick up the pace. Second thing I want you to know today is God has a dream. God moves and speaks in dreams. So you've got to find his dream for your life, and you'll start seeing God move. Secondly, God has a dream. Ephesians 1. Long before he laid down earth's foundations, that word foundations there also means conception. It's long before the conception that he had of earth. The idea, the plan, the strategy, the blueprint. It says, long before this conception, he had us in mind, had settled on us as the focus of his love, to be made whole and holy by his love. Long ago, he decided to adopt us into his family through Jesus Christ. What pleasure he took in planning this. So I want you to notice there, he had us in mind to make us whole by his love. A long time ago, he decided to adopt us. Real quick, I want you to know that you are his dream. God dreamed of you. And that's a word that everyone in this room and on the web needs to latch on to. He dreamed a dream of you. It's not this earth. It's not the universe. The earth is his footstool. He flung the stars out with his hands. But all of that was to set a stage for you and I. He dreamed a dream of you. I know that because it said here in Ephesians 1, he had us in mind. So know this, understanding God's love for you will activate his dream in you. Let me say that again. Understanding God's love for you will awaken that dream in you. You know how I know that? Because the Bible makes it clear that Joseph, aware of his father's love, how many remembers the scripture says, and Jacob loved Joseph more than the others, gave him a coat, said, the future rests with you, son. Joseph, aware of his father's love, became the only dreamer in the bunch. Think of that. When I really understand of who I am in Christ, that my Father loves me, that my Father has encoded in my DNA a dream, that he has great plans for me, a great future for me. When I understand that this earth and the universe all was just a stage that he set for your life and my life to unfold on. When I understand all of that, when I know that God is for me and not against me. Hebrews chapter 11, speaking of the patriarchs, it said, and he was not ashamed to be called their father, to be called their God. You remember? That wording there in the Greek, it can also be translated, and he was proud of them. Did you know that your Father is proud of you? Did you know that God is proud of you? See, we all struggle with that because we really believe, because of our religious upbringing, that God is this angry old man with a really big stick, and the first time that you deviate from his plan, he's going to thump you right on the head. That's what we think. We get a flat tire, God's mad at me. Something broke at the house, God's mad at me. I got fired, God's mad at me. I did something wrong immediately. And so we live in this whole thing of performance. We perform for his blessing. We perform for it, for his approval. I perform for my Father's approval. And that's backwards because it's from his approval that we should perform. You see, there's a huge difference between religion and relationship. Religion says I have to perform for your approval. But relationship says I perform from your approval. My grandbabies, that's why Easter and Christmas, we bring your children up here and we let them sing and do, they pretty much just stand here. But we know that there's not just a whole lot of talent taking place, but the whole front of this thing fills up like Fox News, CNN, ABC, CBS News, and they can't do anything wrong. They can't do nothing wrong. And we just taking pictures, it's going crazy. They perform from our approval, not for it. They've already got it. And your Father is so proud of you. And the enemy has lied to us. Do you understand that? He lied. He lied to us. He's trying to kill the dream in you. You think the devil's trying to kill me. No, he's trying to kill your dream. Well, the devil's after my stuff. My wash machine broke down. The devil's after my wash machine. I don't care about your wash machine. He's trying to steal your joy. He's trying to steal your faith. He's trying to steal your dream. He's trying to steal your peace of mind. He's after you, that thing inside. He's not after your stuff. He don't care about your stuff. He had us in mind. And when you really settle into this thing, my Father loves me. And then you step into what fits you, and you free yourself from the opinions of your brothers, the dream killers, and you realize there's a future for me. Into the pit I go, but the pit's going to lead me to the palace. God's got a plan for my life. You say, be honest, transparency. Who wants transparency? Okay. I've been through a few things. That's why I have no hair. And you can come to a place where you think, something's wrong with me. But you have to understand that it's just the opposite. God allows you to go through the pit, the lie of Potiphar's wife, the prison. God allows you to go through those things because there's a palace that awaits you. And God's preparing you, and God's breaking you, and God's building you, and God's getting you ready for one day when you will stand and save nations. To the degree, the depth of your pit determines how high your throne will sit. Joseph was second only to Pharaoh. That's how high he went. Great, great responsibility. Takes a great deep pit. So you have to know that he had a dream. And that dream was you. You are his dream. You have to know that. You have to know that. And you say, but Pastor, you don't know where I've been. The second thing I want you to see here is his dream of your future is greater than the nightmare of your past. You say, but you don't know where I've been. I don't, but he does. Ephesians 1 said he had a dream, and it was you. The second thing it told us is that his dream was to make us whole by his love. He gets it. We're all broken, living in a broken world. We're all messed up. And he, there in Ephesians, said, I have this dream, and it's about you, and I know you're messed up. I know, I get it. You're broken, bruised, messed up. I get it. We're all messed up. People say, you know, the church is full of hypocrites. And I say, I know, come on and join us. You can be one of us. And so we're all broken. Come on. Your mom and daddy dropped you when you were a baby and you know it. We're all broken. But he said, I will make you whole by my love. So here's the statement for you. Law may keep you straight, but only love can make you whole. What the law could not do, Paul said, grace got it done. So law may keep me straight. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to walk straight. But it's his love that makes me whole. It makes me a whole person. Yeah. So his dream of your future is greater than the nightmare of your past. The next thing, and I'm going to quit early here. I've got too much. We'll finish next Sunday. But the next thing I want you to know is that his dream causes ordinary people to do extraordinary things. How do I know that? Because again, in Ephesians 1, he had us in mind. He's going to make us whole by his love. And he decided to adopt us. Paul makes it clear that we were all born bastards. Now, don't be offended by that word. That's King James Version. The Bible talks about the bastard son, illegitimate children. We were all born illegitimate children. We who were illegitimate children, because of him, became the sons of God. Now, he who was the son of God became illegitimate. He took our place. That's why when he went to Nazareth, they said, oh, we know who you are. You're Mary's boy. Yeah, she got pregnant before they got married. Yeah, we know who you are. You're that bastard child of Mary. So he who was a son became a bastard so that I, who was a bastard, could become a son. That's the way it works. He adopted us. You see, there are no great people. Only ordinary people committed to a great dream. There's a dream inside of me. It's been pushing on me since I was 15 years old, pushing and shoving me and causing me to think outside the box and come home one day to Suzanne and say, let's sell everything we had. We're going on the road. And sell everything we had and load up and head out of Beaumont at midnight. at midnight in 1981, February of 1981, headed out at midnight to go preach. And again, a dream inside of me. Let's quit evangelizing and we're going to do this. It was birthing something in a church. And then we left there and then we birthed the television ministry at Brownsville. And then I left there and I went to Austin and birthed the church. And then I left there and I went to a place in Ohio where there was a moral failure and I brought healing to that church. And then I went back to Brownsville to be part of the revival and the executive pastor and then the senior pastor and then brought here to Cathedral. And ever since I've been here, we've been birthing things, changing things. A dream locked up inside of me. But understand, there are no great people. Just an ordinary guy committed to a great dream. So, Stephen, come help me. I want to challenge you this morning. You have to know that God had a dream and you're that dream. He had you in mind. You say, well, I'm broken. Well, he's going to make you whole by his love. You say, well, who am I to do? That's okay. He said, I'll adopt you. You say, well, I'm nobody. That's okay. He said, I'll make you somebody. You say, well, I'm just an ordinary guy. That's great. I'll do extraordinary things through you. That's what that Ephesians 1 tells us. But I want you to know that when an ordinary person commits to a great dream, let me just give you an acrostic real quick. Living with a great dream. And you can get this out of my notes online later. We're going to go through this fast. When you live with a great dream, it's living with a sense of destiny and not just existing. We're always talking about, I want to find my destiny. I want to quit saying that. You need to live with a sense of destiny. Where you get up every morning, you think, today God's going to use me to make a difference in somebody's life. Quit worrying about reaching the goal, just be the person. Live with a sense of destiny and not just existing. That's what living with a great dream does to you. You get up every morning and you go, man, today's going to be a great day because I'm going to make a difference today. It gives you that sense of destiny. I know this is corny. We hate these things, but anyway, acronyms, acrostics, they're all corny, but it's okay. It works. R means you're living with a sense of responsibility to accomplish greatness. Not only do you have a sense of destiny, but you have a sense of responsibility. That goes back to a nobility, and nobility carries with it obligation. I can't do that. I can't do this. I won't do that. I won't do this. It's because I have that sense of responsibility. My life is not my own. I've been bought with a price. E stands for living with a healthy self-esteem. You see, if I know my Father loves me, if I know that He's put a dream inside of me, then suddenly my self-esteem begins to rise, my self-respect, my self-value. I know that there is value in this life because God's got a purpose for me. I'm pregnant with purpose, and that makes me valuable. Yeah, a healthy self-esteem. A stands for living with a positive attitude. When you get up every morning and you're living with a great dream, you have a positive attitude. It's not half full, half empty. The glass is half full. God's got a plan for my life. And you have a positive attitude. M represents living with a spirit of motivation. If you have a dream, you're motivated. You're motivated. You get up every morning. You get up every morning motivated and ready to go. That God has a dream for me. God's got a purpose for me. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change my world. I'm going to do something. You're motivated. If you're fighting depression, find a dream. If you're fighting despair, find a dream. Just make sure it's not a soul dream. Make sure it's a God dream. In the beginning, God stood on the edge of eternity. And He looked over the vastness of it. And He said, I have a dream. And He initiated that dream. And that dream was you. was you. He said, you're on my mind. I know things are going to go crazy, but I'm going to make you whole with my love. And I know you're ordinary, but I'm going to adopt you into my family and do something extraordinary with you. In the beginning, Elohim was the original dream maker. And you are that dream. Perhaps today it's time to awaken the dream that's in you. It's in there. And the DNA, there's a genetic marker. It says this is who you are, and this is what you're called to do. Like Joseph, you need to awaken that dream. Step into what fits you and begin to dream dreams.